Hello people, Mark Major here. This is the Action Figure-atorium. I'm a real big toy collector. I'm also a studio owner here in Southeast Portland, a long-time sales and marketing guy, and one of the things that I like to do is look at the current crop of action figure Kickstarter campaigns and give a sort of marketing analysis of them. What's working, what's not working. I also like to weigh in with my own personal opinions, tell you what I like and what I don't like about the product. And today we're going to be looking at a line called Legendari. Now what makes this kind of interesting to me is that these guys are sculpted by a toy company called the Four Horsemen out of New Jersey. Four Horsemen make Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions, two toy lines that I talk about a lot on the channel. I do a lot of unboxing reviews of their toys, and I also feature a lot of their figures in my own action figure photography. You might say I'm a bit of a fan. This also has a comic book that is supporting it, and the comic book is made by the creator of Guardians of the Galaxy, so it's an ex-Marvel guy with a proven track record. Should be pretty good. So you guys are definitely going to want to stick around for after the introduction on this one. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. All right, so before I get into the nuts and bolts of the Kickstarter, there is a video on my YouTube channel called the Marketing Essentials to a Successful Action Figure Crowdfund, and we're looking at a bit of it here. I have it paused at like the 12-minute mark. So these are sort of what I have determined to be the three kind of pillars of what makes a successful Kickstarter for action figures and toys. And I came about these sort of three fundamental principles by looking at four campaigns, one called Odious, one called Almighty Legends, one called Biblical Adventures, and one called Savage Crucible. These are all some campaigns that closed recently that we could go back and we could look and see what their offerings were, how much they're asking, and then how much money they made. And by looking at those, I came up with sort of my list of best practices. So if you are somebody who is planning on doing a action figure Kickstarter, you should definitely go back and at least check out this video by me. It's only going to help, right? It's only going to give you some more information that can help you rather than hurt you. All right, so the three things, and we're going to apply these to today's Kickstarter that we're going to look at. The first thing is you've got to have three tiers of pricing products, meaning you have to have something at the bottom of the pyramid that's really cheap that everyone can buy. You need to have a deluxe item, and then you need to have up here a luxury item that's kind of expensive, a little bit out of everyone's price range, but if someone's got money, they will buy it, proven. You also need to have a wide selection, or rather I should say the wider selection of product, the more money you make. And then the last thing is that those who took all of their marketing info and jammed it into the page of the Kickstarter did the best, and that if you had to go looking for better pictures or videos or more details about the toys by hunting on Facebook or going to like sort of scrolling through podcasts and stuff like that, it's only going to hurt you. So let's switch over to the Kickstarter campaign now that we've sort of prefaced what we're going to be looking at, and here we are. Let's start off by watching their video. Now I have muted the video simply because a lot of times when I play these videos I get a kind of a copyright strike, and we all know that that's uncool. It's going to hurt everyone, but especially the video and its relation to the algorithm. So I have muted it, but I'm going to talk over it, so we got that to look forward to. Here we go. We get to see the logo, not a bad looking logo I should say. Then we see kind of a bit of text, and it's inviting us. Now we get to see some action figure. That's a cool looking guy. It's a more cool looking logo. Looks very sort of science fiction, sort of fantasy science fiction. Okay, now we see a little bit of the comic book. We get to see some plugs. They plugged the Guardians of the Galaxy guy. They plugged the Four Horsemen Studios. We're looking at more of the figures here. They're showing us a bit of how they're made. We get some details, 7 inches tall, so a little bigger than 1/12, up to 29 points of articulation. Premium soft goods, interchangeable and customizable. That's always a good thing I've found. People are really into the whole sort of customization these days. 15 characters in total. That seems like kind of a lot. They're showing us quite a bit of action figure here. Now, those are all prototypes, of course, but if that's going to be what they look like, well, that's a pretty good indicator that this is going to be kind of cool. Okay, so they need to get 125,000. They have already hit the stretch goal. These will be produced. This is a guarantee. If you pledge money, you will get one of these. It might take a year, but you will get one. And we still got 11 days to go, so there's time for someone like me to jump in if that's the thing that I need to have happen. Let's see, first of all, what it is that they are selling in terms of their different, you know, they call them rewards, but they're the different product tiers. So, of course, there's the generic, anyone can make a pledge of any amount. Okay, then there is a digital comic book. So it's PDF or a Mobi or an EPUB, and it's $3. And then there's something similar. It's a physical color poster. Color is spelt with the British spelling, so these guys could be Brits or they could like British spelling. And you get a poster. Doesn't say how big the poster is, but you get a poster and a copy of the book. So it's like $3 digital comic book, $12 poster, or $15 for the both. That's okay. All right, so the figures, $39. Now, Four Horsemen figures, their cheapest one, not the cheapest one, because they made some army builders that were $26, but the baseline least expensive figure from the Four Horsemen in their Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions lines have been $37, and that's the pre-order price. You'll pay a little bit more if you wait and pick it up on something like Big Bad Toy Store. So these guys are making a product at a very similar price, and they probably have a very similar amount of plastic that goes into them, even if they are maybe just a scooch, maybe just like an inch or half-inch taller than some of them. So it's about the same price as a Four Horsemen. And then they just have different offerings of value packs. If you buy 3, if you buy 6, if you buy 7, that kind of thing, you eventually can get it to, I think I figured out where you can get it to where you're getting like $50 off. So you get like a free figure if you order a lot of them. And then, of course, everybody's got all-ins, or, you know, buy everything, including all the extra weapons packs and head packs and stuff like that. But basically, a single figure is $39. That's what I've gleaned from this. Okay, now let's go down the middle here. Let's start to look at some of the product. And we get a bunch of their sort of sales pitch here, selling you on what it is. We can see all the guys. Now, this original picture here, when I first saw this, I thought that these were 5 points of articulation. They were definitely well sculpted, well made, great deco, very crispy and cool looking, but I didn't know they had any articulation based on these poses. They look like they're just generic 5 points of articulation guys, but they actually have everything as hinges and joints and balls and stuff, and it looks, you know, it's very modern, very modern. Anyone who's into modern action figures, it's going to scratch that itch. Okay, so this is great. They give us a little size comparison. They have all the other figures. I didn't realize the Star Wars Black Series were that wimpy, but compared to these other guys, this looks, the Legendary guy looks pretty much in the wheelhouse with the other dudes. He fits in really well with some of these other popular brands. And then we get to see sort of all the characters customized. Here's a little, that explosion chart. I've never go for the explosion chart, but I understand You got to show this. That's a big part of your marketing. And including it can only help sales, not hinder them. Of course, they've got plenty of YouTube videos on here. Special announcement, things they've added. Okay, now we're getting into the actual characters. We got this guy. Here's where I'm going to offer some of my opinion as what I think about these guys. So this is some kind of a blue ice lord. This has got some crazy amount of detail on the armor and the sculpting of the figure, and the paint looks really good on this. Comes with a bunch of stuff, extra head, hands, weapons, a pack, and we get to see sort of a little bit about, you know, what you're going to get. If you buy this guy, what's all the stuff you're going to get right here. And moving on to the next guy. This guy looks like some sort of Shogun Molten Man. Maybe he's from the planet Darth Maul or something like that. You know, you can't help but look at some of these figures and see some sort of obtuse cross references to other pop culture that's happened. But we get to see Molten Man here, the cool sort of fake science fiction dreads, as it were, very sort of Predator-esque mask and dreads. Then we get to see this guy, Void Walker. He's really sort of more of a like a Space Knight Skeletor dude, kind of a Death Knight dude. Not bad, kind of cool. Looks like that's maybe just the skeleton thing is maybe just a face mask he wears. Comes with some cool sort of space fantasy weapons. Then we get to see this guy. He looks like he's some kind of, like he fell off the back of the StarCraft wagon, some sort of Protoss warrior. Very, very detailed looking space armor on these guys. And this guy particularly looks pretty gosh dang over the top cool. And I just don't know how anyone could say no to this stuff. Not really excited about the names of these people. Just looks like more sort of science fiction fodder, but that's what people want. So we get another Molten Man, but he's like fully knighted up. He's got some really cool armor. Then we get to see this guy. He's some sort of like a, you know, Space Knight laser tag guy. And here's another Molten Man. He's an army builder. He's says he's only $25. That's kind of interesting. That's I think to get the $25 guy, I think you had to order 6 of the $39 guys, and you can order one of these. That's what it sounds like. Could be wrong. Have to kind of check the rewards again. And here we get to see some add-ons. So for 15 bucks, there's some cool weapons packs. These are some real sort of science fiction fantasy, very sort of, looks very sort of Japanese-inspired anime, Gundam, Robotech looking stuff. Here's some glow-in-the-dark head packs for 15 bucks. Those are pretty good prices. 3 heads for 15 bucks, 5 bucks each. I think that's pretty good. These guys are from Planet Darth Maul. There's a official stand. It's kind of cool. It seems unnecessary, but you never know. You never know. Whatever you can sell these guys. Okay, now this dude, this guy with the weird sort of, I don't know, kind of what his helmet is, if he's like unicorn or rhino or just a horn sticking out, but this weird kind of pink and teal and yellow reminds me a little bit of this Kamen Rider guy. If you've ever seen this dude, X-Aid, level 1 and 2, and it seems that there's a lot of inspiration taken from that kind of stuff, sort of, you know, this is next generation Machine, Krieger, Kamen Rider, Robotech, next generation Space Marines, looking stuff with Molten guys and Frost guys. This guy could be another army builder, not sure. And maybe not. Pale King, we get really cool. You can definitely see that the 4 Horsemen worked on these guys. It looks a lot like their stuff. This guy looks pretty cool. He's now unlocked. He's got some kind of a weird, soft goods is great. He's got this weird kind of, sort of, almost kind of insect look to him with all the different parts. And if you see the way it all breaks down on like the, you know, the hood and all this, all looks really good. All this stuff looks really well done, really well thought out, really well worked out. Great colors, great detail, interesting characters, interesting weapons, interesting looking armor. It looks like something we've seen before, while at the same time it does actually feel a little bit different. This guy's pretty cool. He's kind of got the cool sort of weird Mr. Freeze thing going on with the all white and the blue and the cool mask. And yeah, he does have a head, so it's just a sort of cover the face. I think I like this guy. I think he's pretty neat. Then we got this guy. He's got the beehive face. It's just different looking, interesting with like the Tron pants going on. And then this guy. This looks really cool. It'd be great if this cloak was actually soft goods and you could pose it with the little wire in it. But frozen like this is not terrible. This guy's very much sort of got this kind of evil demon Sauron looking look to him. I think this guy's going to be really popular. He's got kind of hooves, the red and black. I think this guy's going to sell really well. And then there's this guy, some kind of weird sort of over-the-top demon space angel looking dude. Eternal Guard. Look at the weapons that this guy comes with. Cool hands. Very sort of kind of liquid metal looking, very over the top. Some of this stuff, if you read the comic book, it might be particularly interesting, some of these characters. Okay, stretch goal unlocked at $31,000. You can get access to the digital files, print your own, is what it kind of sounds like. Seems interesting. People are offering that up now, but this might be where we're at. And there's some more unlock goals after that. Some augmented reality. So I guess you strap on the VR and walk around your living room and experience this stuff. Anyways, all very, very interesting. Okay, so here are page with rewards. So to get the $125 army builder, you gotta buy the 7-pack, and I hate to say it, but that's pretty brutal. That's pretty brutal for these guys to just come out of the gate doing that, because army building should be something kind of accessible. Okay, so let me give you some of my thoughts on it, right? I like the figures. I like the detail on them. I like the way they're produced. They look super over the top. They just look like they're going total. All the guys look like they're just going totally crazy. And I don't think, we've really, I thought we were sort of at peak action figure creation, but it looks like people are just keep driving this further and further and further. So this is a cool sort of line of space figures to sort of go along with and augment and enhance the Four Horsemen's Cosmic Legions, the same way that other Kickstarter I mentioned, Savage Crucible, which was fantasy figures, was just kind of a nice sort of alternative and way to supplement, complement, and augment the Four Horsemen's Mythic Legions figures. And so this is kind of, I think this is like the space version of Savage Crucible right now, at least in the way I'm ordering it in my head. Here are some things with their marketing that I think they're doing wrong, and then I'll mention some of the things I think they're doing right. So first of all, the pricing I don't particularly like. All the figures are $39. They don't really have a cheap figure other than if you get the one army builder, if you buy 6. I don't really like that. I think that's particularly lame. They do have an entry-level cheap thing everyone can buy. It's the digital comic book. I mean, technically that fulfills that tier according to my criteria. That does fulfill it, but I think that that's particularly kind of lame. I really think that the digital, if it's a physical thing, that would be different. But if it's just a PDF, I think you should just, everyone who puts money in the till, I think should just get one of those. And the same thing with the color poster. It kind of fulfills that, but it's just really, you know, I don't understand the color poster thing. I mean, I know that it's just one more thing you can sell. The more things you can sell, the more money you make. It's really not the draw, though. Nobody comes to these things like looking for the digital poster. They're looking for the action figure. There just happens to be a cool, or not digital poster, any sort of like thing like that. They're looking for the action figures, and they see the poster after the fact, and they're like, yeah, it's a few bucks. I'm just going to get one of those too. It's a nice add-on. It's a good way to make extra money. It's just not the draw. So with this, I think that they really need to have a cheap entry-level, non-deluxe army building guy in about the $20 to $25 range that doesn't have as much articulation, doesn't have as much paint on it, doesn't come with as many accessories, hands and weapons and stuff like that. Just cheapen it up. Get it cheap. Get rid of all that stuff so that somebody could come in and buy 3, 4, 5 of those guys if that's all they want. They just want to get generic lava guard guy with red, some, you know, red skin, a little bit of molten thing on it, some cool armor and a spear or something like that. And so I think that that's really what's lacking. There's no like generic entry-level, non-deluxe army building guy that you can just pick up and get. I think they're selling us a lot of deluxe figures. For one, I think they're all kind of priced about the same, and there's really kind of no difference then in the figures then as far as like what the consumer sees. And there's also no luxury item like that weird sort of Space Angel guy with the galvanized liquid armor looking stuff and the fold out wings. That guy should be like in all sort of like chrome or gold, and he should be like $50 or $60 or $65, or maybe there's like a pair of them for $75 or something like that. There needs to be like an expensive luxury item with this line. Some like thing at the top, some cherry to pick. You know, you can buy a bunch of these generic $25 dudes with the spear. You can get a whole bunch of these deluxe guys for $39. You can get like the big, huge, crazy Space Angels for like $50. That's how I think they should do the pricing on this. I think they sort of went out of their way to, maybe they're leaning heavily on the comic book, think people are going to buy the comic book and that they're going to get into it and they're going to buy their favorite character. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the comic book is an after the fact. I think people are looking for cool action figures to put next to their other cool action figures. If they've got Cosmic Legions, they're going to find some other space guys to go with them. If they got Mythic Legions, they're going to find some other fantasy guys to go with them, that kind of thing. I don't think they really care about the comic book. I'm wrong quite a bit of the time. If it happens that the comic book is a huge hit and the toys die, it's on me. But I think if people are looking for cool toys, I think the comic book is just sort of an after, you know, like we find out about it years later, that kind of thing, especially if they don't have a physical one. Because a physical thing is just today so much more valuable than the digital PDF, regardless of what you might think. So the tiered pricing, I think, on this, I don't want to say it's all wrong. I think they missed a few key things, and so I don't think that they're going to hit huge numbers. I don't think they're going to get to that 300,000. I think they're probably going to break 200,000 though, because they're already at 141 with 10 days to go. I think there's a good chance they could hit that. Okay, so then the next thing is the wide selection. They've got a great wide selection, and if you can't find one out of the 15 guys out there to buy for $39 plus the shipping, so let's say $50, If for 50 bucks you can't find a single guy there, then there's something probably wrong with you. I think they've done everything they can to come out with enough cool looking guys, and quite a few of them are similar enough to each other to where you're like, oh, they're on the same team, and yet they're not all sort of just carbon copies of one another. They're all sort of different enough from one another to where they're kind of interesting and unique. So I think they've definitely got that, and I think they've definitely done a great job with marketing on the Kickstarter page itself in terms of the videos they put there, in terms of the graphics, in terms of the images, in terms of their updates, all that kind of stuff. It all looks really good. All their sales collateral that is on this looks absolutely fantastic. So this is obviously going to be a success because it has already funded. Just a matter of how big of a success it's going to be. I think if they could adjust their pricing and their tiers, I think this thing could possibly have been something that blows up, and it could lead the way for these guys to come out with some crazy fruity space vehicles to go along with them in the next campaign. So with that, thank you everyone who made it this far into the channel. Also, it's just time for me to do the smallest amount of plugging that I can. I have an Instagram page that needs lots of love. It needs you to come and follow along, and if you follow along, I'll most chances probably follow you back. But there's a couple things that I've been doing that I think are quite interesting for people, especially if you're into like customs and customizing. I got this ongoing thing which involves a sort of mashup between World War II action figures and Star Wars to create this kind of diesel punk universe. I call it Gangs of Stalingrad 2023. If you go to my website, you'll see all the pictures of them, but if you follow along the Instagram, you'll see pics like this, or some of these other ones that I really like this one. I think that that's a cool pic. And of course, it's the Black Cross Forces. That's these guys, and their eternal struggle with these guys, the Red Star Army. It's a sort of Germans versus Soviets reimagined. A lot of fun. There's also another series I'm doing, which I think I'm going to call it The Lukes of Hazzard. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure where this is going. This is just sort of dipping the toe in the pool. We'll see what happens. So with that, thanks again, and I'll catch you guys on my next video.